The strongest man in the world is he who stands most alone. Henrik Ibsen. Society loves predictability, but true strength comes from those who don't need them. Being a Sigma male isn't about claiming a title. It's about how you move, how you think, and how you handle the world around you. It's the ability to walk alone without fear, to reject mediocrity, and to stay true to yourself, no matter the pressure. Most people will never understand this mindset because they're too busy seeking approval, but that's exactly what sets you apart. In a world where most people are desperate to be liked, a Sigma values his freedom over popularity. He doesn't chase attention, but he commands respect. He doesn't beg for opportunities, he creates them. He doesn't fear being alone because he understands that solitude is where true power is built. If this sounds like you, then you already know the path you're walking. But if it doesn't, then maybe it's time to ask yourself, are you really in control of your life, or are you still playing by someone else's rules? This isn't about superiority, it's about self-mastery. It's about breaking free from the conditioning that keeps most men weak, distracted, and dependent. You don't need permission to be who you are. You just need the discipline to walk your own path, no matter who doubts you. If you recognize these habits in yourself, then you already know you're different. And if you don't, maybe it's time to start changing that. Watch this video to find out what truly separates a Sigma from the rest. Number 1. You keep a low profile, but are highly influential. Most people believe influence comes from being the loudest in the room, constantly proving their worth or demanding attention. But true power doesn't need an announcement. It's felt. You don't waste energy trying to be seen or heard because you understand that real impact comes from strategy, not noise. You move with intention, and that alone sets you apart. You don't crave the spotlight because you know it blinds more than it reveals. Instead, you observe, analyze, and act only when it matters. You're not in a rush to prove yourself, and that makes people take notice. There's an undeniable weight to your presence, not because you force it, but because you carry yourself with certainty. When you do speak, your words hit differently. They aren't filler or desperate attempts to be liked. They are sharp, precise, and often unforgettable. Unlike attention seekers who rely on constant validation, you thrive in silence. You build, plan, and evolve behind the scenes while others chase temporary recognition. They exhaust themselves trying to be relevant every second while you remain a mystery, one that people can't help but be drawn to. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, and why you don't move like the rest. That curiosity alone gives you more influence than any forced charisma ever could. People may underestimate you at first, mistaking your quiet nature for weakness. But when you finally step forward, they realize their mistake. You don't engage in meaningless debates or beg for respect. You command it effortlessly. You aren't swayed by trends or pressured by expectations. You dictate the pace of your own life. And that independence is something most will never achieve. Your presence carries value because it's rare. You don't waste time proving your worth. Your actions do that for you, while others scream for attention. You let results speak louder than words. That's the difference between influence and performance. One is fleeting, the other is undeniable. And you already know which one you choose. Number 2. You can be a ghost for months or even years. You don't fear disappearing because you understand that real growth happens in silence. While most people constantly seek attention, validation, or reassurance, you step away without hesitation. You go ghost, not to escape, but to evolve. You know that progress doesn't require an audience, and the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. You detach from the noise, the drama, and the expectations of society. While others broadcast every move, you move in the shadows, working on yourself, sharpening your mind, and perfecting your craft. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't seek applause for every step forward. You understand that true mastery takes time, and you refuse to be rushed by people who don't even understand your vision. People might wonder where you went, might question why you're so distant, might even assume you've fallen off. But what they don't realize is that while they were busy seeking attention, you were building something real. And when you finally reappear, you're sharper, stronger, and more dangerous than before. You return not with empty words, but with results. something most people will never have because they never had the discipline to disappear and put in the work. This habit isn't understood by the weak. They need constant engagement, constant reassurance, and constant distraction. They fear being alone because they can't face themselves. But you thrive in isolation. It clears your mind, strengthens your focus, and allows you to move without interference. You don't need permission to step away, and you don't owe explanations when you return. You come and go as you please because your time is yours alone. That's what makes you different. You don't chase relevance. You let your results make the statement. And when the time is right, you resurface, not as the same person who left, but as a version so upgraded that the world has no choice but to take notice. Number 3, you're brutally honest, even if it costs you everything. Most people filter their words to be liked. They tiptoe around the truth, water down their opinions, and say what others want to hear just to keep the peace. But you don't play that game. You say what needs to be said exactly how it needs to be said, without worrying about who gets uncomfortable. You value truth over approval, and that alone sets you apart. You don't sugarcoat reality because you know that pretending something is fine when it isn't helps no one. If someone is making excuses, you call them out. If a situation is headed for disaster, you warn them whether they like it or not. You don't believe in false comfort because real growth only happens when people face the hard truth. That's why your words carry weight. When you speak, people listen, not because you tell them what they want to hear, but because they know you tell them what they need to hear. Of course, this kind of honesty comes at a price. You lose friends, you make enemies, you're labeled as harsh, cold, or difficult. But none of that matters because you're not here to win a popularity contest. You'd rather be respected than liked. And those who truly understand your value don't just tolerate your honesty, they depend on it. While others live in denial, you expose the uncomfortable reality. While they avoid difficult conversations, you embrace them head-on. This isn't about being reckless with your words. It's about refusing to let lies, weakness, or delusion control your life. Some will appreciate it, some will resent it, but you don't care either way. You stand by the truth even when it costs you relationships, opportunities, or acceptance. Because at the end of the day, you can look yourself in the mirror and know that you never compromised who you are just to make others feel better. And that kind of integrity, it's rare, it's dangerous, and it's exactly why you can't be ignored. Number 4, you operate with a no-nonsense, high-standards approach. You don't have time for nonsense. You don't entertain excuses, half-efforts, or empty words, especially from yourself. While most people are busy justifying their failures, blaming circumstances, or waiting for the perfect moment, you're already moving. You don't sit around hoping things will get better. You make them better. Your standards are high because you refuse to accept mediocrity. If something isn't done right, it's redone. If a situation isn't serving you, it's cut off. If a person brings unnecessary drama, they're gone. It's not about being harsh. It's about efficiency. You don't have the luxury of wasting time on things that don't matter. Every decision, every action, every step you take is intentional. While others hesitate, you execute. While they get lost in distractions, you stay locked in. This mindset intimidates people. They call you rigid, cold, or too intense, but that's because they don't understand what it takes to operate at your level. Most people are comfortable making excuses. They want to be coddled, reassured, and given shortcuts. But you don't believe in shortcuts. You believe in results. That's why you demand more, not just from the world, but from yourself. If you set a goal, you reach it. If you say you'll do something, it gets done. No complaints, no procrastination, no nonsense. Some people can't handle this level of discipline. They take your directness as aggression, your standards as arrogance. But you don't exist to make people comfortable. You exist to get things done. And while others waste time explaining why they can't, you're already proving that you can. That's why you stand out. That's why you keep winning. Because while everyone else is looking for the easy way, you're busy doing what actually works. Number 5, you have an insane work ethic, but no one sees it. You don't announce your moves. You don't post every small victory or wait for applause before taking the next step. While others need recognition to stay motivated, You stay locked in, focused, disciplined, and relentless. Your work ethic is on another level, but most people will never see it. And that's exactly how you like it. While others waste time making noise about what they plan to do, you're already doing it. You don't need validation because your goals aren't driven by approval. They're driven by purpose. You know that real progress happens in silence, in those late nights, early mornings, and countless hours of effort that no one else will ever witness. You don't chase praise because praise doesn't build anything. Work does. People will assume your success happened overnight because they never saw the sacrifices. They never saw the discipline, the failures, the times you pushed through exhaustion when quitting would have been easier. They don't understand how much you've invested mentally, physically, and emotionally because you never broadcast it. And when you finally achieve what you set out to do, they'll be shocked as if it came out of nowhere. But you know the truth. It didn't come from luck or shortcuts. It came from doing the work when no one was watching. That's why you're different. You don't waste energy proving yourself to people who don't matter. You don't need constant reassurance or meaningless praise. You trust the process, stay in your lane, and keep pushing forward long after others have given up. And when the results finally show, there won't be any need to explain how you got there. The work speaks for itself, and that's all that matters. Number 6, you make enemies without saying a word. Most of you have experienced it in your workplace, from coworkers to friends, even your boss. You don't have to say a word to make enemies. The way you move, the way you think, the way you refuse to conform, it's enough to make weak-minded people uncomfortable. They don't understand how you operate without needing validation, how you stay unbothered by opinions, how you walk away from situations that don't serve you without hesitation. To them, it's unsettling. To you, it's just who you are. People who rely on group approval can't stand someone who doesn't need it. They've spent their whole lives playing by the rules, seeking permission and following trends. Then they see you, unapologetic, detached, and in full control of your own path. It frustrates them. It makes them question their own choices. And rather than face that discomfort, they turn you into the enemy. They'll call you arrogant, antisocial, or even dangerous. But the truth is, you're just free in a way they'll never be. Your presence alone is enough to expose weakness. You don't have to argue, prove a point, or engage in drama. Just by standing firm in who you are, you create discomfort in those who lack the same conviction. They mistake your independence for a personal attack, as if your refusal to conform somehow diminishes them. But that's their problem, not yours. You don't waste time defending yourself or changing to make others comfortable. You let them talk, let them assume, let them project their insecurities onto you. Meanwhile, you keep moving. Because at the end of the day, their approval was never something you needed in the first place. And that's exactly why you keep winning, without ever having to say a word. Number 7, you have the mindset of a war general. You don't move without a plan. Every decision you make is precise, intentional, and calculated. While others react emotionally, you remain level-headed, seeing the bigger picture when everyone else is caught up in the moment. You don't make reckless choices, and you definitely don't let emotions dictate your actions. Everything is strategy, and that's what sets you apart. Most people live on impulse, driven by fleeting emotions and short-term gratification. They make choices based on fear, excitement, or social pressure, never stopping to ask themselves if it actually makes sense. You don't operate that way. You analyze, you observe. You think 10 steps ahead while others barely think 2. You recognize that life, like war, is won by those who stay composed under pressure and move with purpose. This mindset makes you unpredictable. People expect emotional reactions, but you don't give them that satisfaction. They expect impulsive decisions, but you always play the long game. You control situations instead of being controlled by them. That's why people either respect you or fear you, because they know they can't manipulate or outmaneuver you. Your ability to detach from emotions doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you refuse to let feelings weaken your position. You understand that patience, discipline, and logic will always win over emotional outbursts and reckless choices. You don't waste energy proving yourself to people who don't matter. You move in silence, striking only when necessary, making sure every action has meaning. People may not understand your way of thinking, and that's fine. You weren't built to follow the crowd. You were built to lead, to strategize, to win. And while others scramble to fix the damage caused by their own short-sighted decisions, you stay ahead, untouchable, always in control. Number 8. You're the last person anyone should underestimate. People make the mistake of assuming silence means weakness. They see you sitting back, saying little, keeping to yourself, and they assume you're passive, indifferent, or maybe even incapable. But what they don't realize is that you're not absent. You're watching, calculating, learning everything there is to know before you strike. And when you do, it's always when they least expect it. You don't waste energy proving yourself to people who aren't paying attention. You don't announce your plans, and you definitely don't seek validation. While others talk a big game, constantly trying to be seen and heard, you're gathering information, weighing options, and understanding the playing field. People assume they have you figured out until the moment you decide to act. Then everything shifts. Your patience is what makes you dangerous. Most people are impulsive, rushing to show off, to react, to make a move, just to feel important. But you don't play by those rules. You wait. You let them reveal their intentions, expose their weaknesses, and underestimate you completely. And just when they think they have you cornered, you flip the entire situation on its head. The truth is, people fear what they don't understand, and they don't understand you. Your mind is sharp, your instincts are lethal, and your ability to stay composed under pressure makes you nearly impossible to predict. That's why underestimating you is always a mistake, because by the time they realize who they're dealing with, it's already too late. Number 9. You're unbothered by rejection or disapprover. Most people fear rejection because they tie their worth to how others see them. They crave approval, bending over backward to fit in, afraid of being cast aside, but not you. Rejection doesn't shake you, and disapproval doesn't faze you. Why? Because you never needed validation in the first place. You know who you are, and you know what you stand for. If someone doesn't see your value, it's their loss, not yours. You don't waste energy trying to convince people to like you, accept you, or believe in your vision. If they don't get it, you move on. No hesitation, no second thoughts. You understand that not everyone is meant to walk your path, and forcing connections only leads to disappointment. You'd rather walk alone in truth than be surrounded by people who don't really understand you. That kind of mindset intimidates the weak, confuses the insecure, and frustrates those who rely on external validation, while others dwell on rejection. You see it as a filter, a way to separate those who belong in your world from those who don't. You don't beg for a seat at the table, you build your own. You don't chase people's approval because you know how easily it shifts. One moment they cheer for you, the next they turn their backs. You refuse to let that control you. This doesn't mean you're arrogant, it means you're free. Free from the emotional chains that keep most people stuck. Free from the need to explain yourself to those who will never understand. Free from the fear that stops so many from taking action. You trust yourself enough to walk away, to move forward, to keep going without hesitation. That's why you're dangerous. That's why you stand out. Because while others let rejection define them, you use it to refine you. And that's exactly why you never lose. Number 10. You make decisions based on logic, not social pressure. Most people live their lives according to what others expect of them. They follow trends, conform to social norms, and make choices based on fear of judgment, fear of standing out, fear of disappointing others, but you don't operate that way. You make decisions based on logic, not pressure. You analyze, you think for yourself, and you move with purpose. You don't let emotions cloud your judgment or allow society to dictate your path. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's right, and just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean it's smart. You see through the illusion. While others are swept up in hype, blindly following the herd, you step back and question everything. Does this actually benefit me? Does this align with my goals? Is this even worth my time? If the answer is no, you walk away without hesitation. This mindset makes you unpredictable. People can't manipulate you with guilt, shame, or the need to fit in. They can't pressure you into decisions that don't serve you. They might call you cold or indifferent, but that's only because they don't understand what true independence looks like. You don't rebel for the sake of rebelling. You simply refuse to be controlled. Most people are trapped in cycles they never question, living by rules they never chose. But you carve your own path, even if it means standing alone. You don't care if your choices confuse others or if they disapprove. Their opinions have no weight because you're not seeking permission. You trust yourself, and that's all that matters. While others chase acceptance, you chase results. While they waste energy trying to fit in, you focus on what actually works. And in the end, they'll realize that following the crowd got them nowhere, while your ability to think for yourself led you exactly where you needed to be. Number 11. You see through manipulation instantly. Most people are blind to manipulation. They fall for sweet words, guilt trips, and carefully crafted illusions because they want to believe in good intentions. But you see through it all. You recognize when someone is trying to control, deceive, or push you in a direction that benefits them, not you. And the moment you sense it, you shut it down, cold, fast, and without hesitation. Manipulation comes in many forms. Some try to guilt you into doing what they want, making you feel like a bad person if you say no. Others pretend to have your best interests at heart, masking their selfish motives with fake concern. Then there are those who play the long game, subtly influencing your choices without you even realizing it. But none of it works on you. You pick up on the smallest inconsistencies, the hidden agendas, the unspoken expectations. You notice the way people phrase things, the way their actions don't match their words, the way they test boundaries to see how much they can get away with. And once you recognize the pattern, you cut it off. This makes you dangerous. People can't manipulate you like they do everyone else, and that frustrates them. They call you cold because their guilt trips don't work. They call you arrogant because you refuse to be controlled. They call you paranoid because you don't fall for the fake smiles and scripted kindness. But deep down, they know the truth. You can't be played. This ability protects you. It keeps you from being used, from wasting time on fake people, from falling into traps that others never even see coming. It allows you to make decisions based on reality, not illusion. And while others constantly wonder why they keep getting betrayed, lied to, or manipulated, you move through life untouched because you don't just hear what people say, you understand what they mean, and that makes all the difference. Final words. Being a Sigma male isn't about claiming a title. It's about how you move, how you think, and how you handle the world around you. It's the ability to walk alone without fear, to reject mediocrity, and to stay true to yourself no matter the pressure. Most people will never understand this mindset because they're too busy seeking approval, but that's exactly what sets you apart. If you see these habits in yourself, don't doubt your path, embrace it. The world isn't designed for men like you, but that's exactly why you thrive. You don't need permission, validation, or a place in the crowd. You make your own way at your own pace with zero apologies. And while others waste time trying to fit in, you build, evolve, and keep moving forward. But if you don't recognize these traits in yourself, it's not too late to change. Break free from the noise, start thinking for yourself, and stop letting the world dictate who you should be. The choice is yours. Stay in the background or step into your power. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing to our channel for more content on the Sigma personality and other related topics. Don't forget to hit the like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with someone you think needs to see it. Thank you so much for watching. See you in our next video.